G'day fellas, today I'm going to talk about how to set up AO, Area of Operations. Pretty simple. First thing you need to do is just place all your friendly units, empty vehicles, player vehicles, whatever, at your base, set up your base, and then you need to place a static object. I usually use a flagpole, and you need to call this object AO base. You also need some kind of empty vehicle. It can be anything you want, but I usually use a truck, it could be a helicopter or whatever, and you need to name this vehicle AO deliver for certain mission types. Okay, then we need to go to systems, Drongo's area of operations, AO core, put one of them down, double click on that. I'll leave this for you to discover by yourself. Let's put the enemy side to west here, and let's turn on debug mode just to see what's happening. Let's say I also want to enable ambient civilians in this one. Bit of stuff here. Okay, done, and play. So let's take a look at the map, see what kind of debug info we get. These are all the civilians spawning in. Task assigned rescue squad. This is the quick reaction force mission, and this is our objective here. You can see enemy forces starting to spawn in. By default, the enemy forces will be FIA troops and the civilians will just be vanilla Bohemia stuff, but let's look at changing that. So to change civilians is pretty straightforward. Let's grab this marker, pull it to a bit of an open area, and let's say we want to use Middle Eastern civilians from my World in Conflict mod. So just put a few down like so, one with robes, like this. Okay, and then sync them to the module. And let's put some vehicles down as well. Let's say everyone on Anaze is just mad for go-karts, so we have to make sure that place vehicles with crew is on. And let's put down a few go-karts. And of course safety first. Okay, so now let's grab all these, connect, sync to, and something I also do is to stop vehicles exploding on spawn or anything like that. I like to go to attributes and disable all this stuff, and so too with the infantry. Okay, so these are not the actual units that will be used in game. Each of these units will be scanned by the system, and the type of this vehicle, the class name, will be used to spawn in extra units. These will be deleted by the system after they're scanned and registered. Okay, so we've set up our civilians, but what if we want to do the same thing for the enemy faction? Well, here's one I prepared earlier. And we want to use Islamic State from my World in Conflict mod. So we've put them down, a squad here. Now something a bit different about the way that the infantry are registered. Anything that is a sergeant will be considered a squad leader. These are all corporals, privates, etc. They won't be squad leaders. And one mission type requires a HVT. So this here, with a rank of colonel, will be defined as a HVT. So anything that you give a rank of colonel and sync to the define enemy men vehicles module will be a HVT, will be a squad leader. And here we have some vehicles. As you can see, I've used vehicles from different sides, different factions, it doesn't matter, but I've put let's take a look. BMP, Humvee, M113, and we need some static weapons as well. Doesn't matter if there's a Russian unit crewing it or a US unit crewing it. the system will just register the type of the vehicle or static that's being used, and they will be crewed by these unit types here. So some other things we need to define. So in CAD missions, I've put down these vehicles, and again these units are crewed by Russians, but in the mission, again, these blokes will spawn in as the crew. And one final thing that we need to do is define downed helos and pilots, and these are considered friendlies. So I've put some Russian helicopters here and some Russian pilots here, and as usual, turned all this stuff off to prevent any problems. Okay lads, so we've defined all our factions and everything, set everything up how we want it. Let's take a look at a few more things for the core. So if we want to remove any mission types, for example, I hate patrol missions, can we just delete this from the array like so? Require RTB, that just means when you complete the mission, do you have to come back to base and come close to this object here. So some people like the back and forth, some people think just, you know, I've won the mission, so just automatically end there. Enemy squad size, how many men will appear? So if you want smaller squads, you could set it to something like that, for example. How many patrols do you want to appear on the map? Say you want a really packed map and you've got a good server, maybe you want to do something like that. There are IEDs that spawn in. Attackers is used for defense missions. What's the maximum skip time? You could even set that to 0 if you want. Do you want to use the automatic weather? Force new campaign is just for testing. Usually you want this set to false, and let's set our debug mode to false. Air mode just makes it easier to play as a helicopter pilot or even a fixed wing pilot if you want to do that. What it will do is disallow certain mission types, and if it's say a patrol, you don't have to get quite as close to the objective marker. Like if you want to make a dynamic campaign where you're a Heinz pilot or whatever like that. So that's it lads. If you have any questions, please let me know. Cheers.